Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Late Night Football. Welcome to a sort of analysis show again. Like we did this one after Arsenal, lost the chance to win the title when they finally, did that against Brighton. And then we're gonna do this about Real Madrid as well. We thought, what's next for Real Madrid? What happens going forward? Because it's 4-0. It's a massive defeat. Make no mistake about it. It is not, this wasn't a gritty 2-1 defeat or a 3-2 loss where you kind of go, Real Madrid tried very hard and they just couldn't get over the line because City is so good. It was simply domination and annihilation from minute 1 to minute 90. There was at no point in that game, as I said, did Real Madrid ever look like they were going to win this tie. And for a team like Real Madrid in the Champions League, that is unacceptable. This is not something that Real Madrid and this is not something that they would stand for. I mean, it's one thing to lose, and it's one thing to lose, in a La Liga game. It's another thing to lose like this in a Champions League semi-final for Real Madrid. It's a competition they pride on. It's a competition they're very, very, protective of. As they believe that it's sort of their home competition, really, in some ways. And for them to lose like that and to be embarrassed like that, I think there will be repercussions. There will be things that'll happen. I think this summer was anyway going to be a summer of transition anyway for Real Madrid. But I think now that process is going to be accelerated. And I think the first thing will start with Carlo Ancelotti. Will he stay at the club? I don't think he will. I think he will be sacked. Either he will resign or he'll be sacked, but I don't think he'll stay because they didn't win the La Liga title, and to lose like that they didn't win the Champions League, and then they lost it in probably the most embarrassing manner. I think Carlo Ancelotti will go, and I do think he needs to go. I think it's time for some fresh ideas, fresh faces. I think for too long, and like I said, it comes to the stream selection, but for too long, I think he's stuck to a core of players and he hasn't been able to move past it. I mean, you take this game for example. This was not a game where you start Kroos and Modric together. It never was a game where you start them together. Yet he started them together because he doesn't trust Camavinga to play midfield, doesn't trust Tchouaméni to play in midfield, or maybe he feels that they've still got something to offer, but they don't. So that's one thing. And I do think that somebody else now needs to come in who can take the team forward, who can probably build on the score of young players that they've got. They're going to have to do that. But I think somebody new needs to come in. Will that happen? Is another question. I think it will happen, but we'll have to wait and see. Maybe Perez will not be so trigger happy and will give him another season. But I do feel like he will be gone by the end of the season, if not sooner. And then who comes in to replace him is a question. Will be Nagelsmann? He's someone who's available. They might want to give it to him. Will they bring back Zidane? I mean, bringing back Ancelotti worked. Maybe bring back Zidane, and maybe that will work again. That could be an option as well. Bringing in Zidane. Other than that, you're looking at who else can you get in and who else can you give the job to. But I think Nagelsmann probably is the fair front runner at the moment. But we'll see what happens and who comes in and who takes over. But that change will be needed. And then again, you look at Kroos and Modric. Is their time up at the club? I don't think they will leave. I don't think they'll be sold or released. But I do feel that they have to take a backseat. I mean, the backseat, and Real Madrid have got to start building for the future now. They've got to start looking towards a transition. I mean, I think Dani Ceballos would not be staying at the club, so they're probably going to bring in Jude Bellingham at the end of the season, which is going to be good, I think, for them. This game to me showed limitations of Fede Valverde as a player, though. By the way, I thought Valverde was outstanding in the first half of the season before the World Cup, but since the World Cup, I think something's changed. Maybe the fact that Uruguay went out without really much of a fight. A lot of people thought Uruguay would go deeper in the competition than they did, and they didn't. Maybe that takes a toll on a player. He just hasn't been the same player since the World Cup. He just hasn't looked like that, dynamic, enterprising, goal-scoring central midfielder that he was. He just seems a little bit off the pace. He looks a little bit out of place in that midfield as well. Maybe and maybe part of that is also because he's not really the kind of midfielder that Kroos and Modric are. He's very different to them, and sometimes it works, and sometimes in this case maybe it doesn't. But you can see his performance, I think, kind of gave us reason to believe, yes, this is why they're going to bring in Bellingham, because they need somebody like Bellingham in that team, to compete with Valverde. And when Valverde has off days, you bring in Bellingham, and then Bellingham has off days, you can bring in Valverde. But you can see why they want him, because they need more competition than midfield. I think the future will probably be, Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Bellingham, and Valverde competing for those three midfield spots. But that's something they will need to look at. They'll probably need another backup for Tchouaméni as well. I don't think Tchouaméni, I think he's a good player, and he's shown that he's a good player and he can handle the pressure. But I do think they need another CDM behind him, because you obviously there's a reason why when Tchouaméni is not available, he goes with Kroos and Modric, because there's nobody else to play that role. Maybe Camavinga could play that role, but then if you're going to play Camavinga and Tchouaméni together, then one player can't play two positions, right? So I think they'll need another CDM as well. Again, don't know who they're going to bring in and whether they will bring in someone, but they will need a backup for Tchouaméni as well. Good CDMs are worth their weight in goals, so they're going to have to look at that as well to get in someone. And that's going to be important. And then you asked the question about Karim Benzema. He had the Indian summer of his career last year. Hasn't been the same player since. Injuries have taken their toll as well. I think he's looked a little bit off the pace as well over the course of these 2 legs as well. He just looked like what he is, which is he's a 34, 35-year-old player at the end of his coming to the end of his career. So he's defied time for a long time. And again, I don't think he's going to be sold, but I think they'll need to look at someone who can take over the striking responsibility from him. Who could that player be is a question. I mean, Harry Kane is available. Do they go for Harry Kane? I mean, will it be Harry Kane at best would be a medium-term option, wouldn't be a long-term option. They'd probably get 2-3 years out of him as a sort of a transition from Benzema to that's Mbappe or whether that's Haaland. They'll get Kane for that stopgap period. But the price tags are going to be massive. They're going to pay a lot of money for Bellingham. Will they be paying a lot of money for Kane too? Is a question that they probably wouldn't be looking at Kane. Do they go out and do they get Rafael Leao, try and convert him into a striker? Probably Rafael Leao doesn't want to leave Milan. Probably, maybe. And then you start looking at other players like maybe Lautaro Martinez is an option as well. There's strikers out there. And of course, there's also interest in Haaland, but I don't think Haaland is the kind of player who can come in and immediately make an impact in Real Madrid side. So, but I think they will need to look at a backup, as a serious backup for Karim Benzema as well. Maybe Rodrygo could be the guy they push forward. I mean, and play him as a striker going forward. He's played there a few times. Maybe that's the guy to do it. But they're gonna have to look at that one as well. Defensively they look okay. I mean, Carvajal probably looked a little bit off the pace. They might want to bring in another right back as well. And that's a position as well, actually, by the way, right back. They do need right back. They've been using Nacho there at times. Lucas Vazquez and Nacho both played in that position. Neither of them are right backs by trade, but they play there. So they might want to look at a backup right back, somebody who can now take over from Dani Carvajal full time. And then when you look at the bench, you got to think about is Ceballos still has a future at Madrid? Probably not. Does Lucas Vazquez have a future at Real Madrid? Probably not. Does Marco Asensio have a future at Real Madrid? That's a big question as well. Marco Asensio. I mean, you could do a front three of Asensio, Rodrygo, and Vinicius as your front three going forward. But then the question is, Asensio always seems to blow hot and cold. He seems to have these good periods, and he doesn't have these good periods. So that's a big question. Eden Hazard will probably be gone as well. And Ferland Mendy, I haven't even seen Mendy play this season at all. I can't remember the last time he played. And Camavinga has been playing left back for so long. Is Mendy even an option anymore? Do they need to get rid of him and get somebody else? Get a proper left back in? That would be something, right? And they probably need to get a proper left back in because they've been playing Camavinga there. I think today you saw I think over the 2 legs as well, you saw Camavinga's limitations at the back because he gave the ball away for that first goal. And if Real Madrid had got a 1-0 lead and gone into this game, maybe things would have been different. I don't think they would have, but maybe they might have been different things. But it shows, the problems when you play midfield at left back. It's a good stopgap option, but not someone you can rely on long term. So they're probably going to need a left back as well. So there's a lot of things that they need. They need a left back. They need a backup CDM. Another central midfielder, which is probably going to be Bellingham. They need They need a right back, and they need a striker as well. So there's a lot of positions that they need to fill. I don't think they'll be able to fill all of it in one, and plus a new manager. I don't know how they will be able to fill all of that in one summer. They could. They have the money. But they might not be able to do that. So this will be a summer of transition. It will be a slow sort of move into a new sort of system. I can't think of any new young players that are coming through. I know there was this Uruguayan kid. I forget his name, but he came through and he looked good in the few times that he played. But it's easier to look good in cameo appearances. Another thing to play week in, week out, and actually get that consistency. So that might take some time. But they're going to need 5 players, and at least. And we'll have to wait and see who they get and where they sign and how they go. But things that they will need to look at, of course, for next season. It's going to be a summer transition. It's going to be, if you're a Real Madrid fan, it could be exciting to think about all the players that they could be signing. Should they go sign Mbappe? I mean, that's a key question. Should they go back in for Mbappe this season? I think they shouldn't. I honestly think they shouldn't, because the thing is, Mbappe has clearly showed that he wants to stay at PSG. And that PSG are willing to throw whatever it takes, or whatever amount of money it takes to go after Mbappe, to keep Mbappe. So why would you want to go after such a player? Just try and find somebody else and then move on from Mbappe. I think that would be the thing. I'm not suggesting that Real Madrid are in for Mbappe, but I'm just saying that they probably shouldn't be looking at that as an option, and probably thinking about other more realistic targets that they can go after. But Victor Osimhen, I mean, that could be an option. I don't think he will sign for Real Madrid, because I don't think Madrid have that kind of money to go for Bellingham and Osimhen, but might be an option as well there. So, but they definitely need more fresh faces and more squad faces. I do think partly some of the players that they've signed in the last few years haven't really performed to the level. It's been kind of masked by the league win and the Champions League victory. It's been masked, but the reality is, for a long time, Real Madrid haven't bought. At least their forward line hasn't been adequately replenished like it should have been, and it's been neglected for quite a while. But Yeah, that's something they will need to look at as well for next for the summer. So anyway, let's smash like for this video if you enjoyed this little bit of a preview to what could happen this summer for Real Madrid. Do share your thoughts and comments. Do you think Ancelotti should stay at the club? Do you think they can get through another season with the way they are? Do you feel that there are any other positions that I've not mentioned that they need reinforcements in? Of course, do let me know your thoughts. Always love reading your comments. Of course, so do share that, and to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We always appreciate your support. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Take care. See you again soon. Bye bye.